All right, good evening, everybody. I am reconvening to open session, the regular meeting of Fairview District 72 Board of Education. It's May 15th at 7:03 PM. We have already established that we do have a quorum. I'd like to request all members of the public to be respectful of everyone at this meeting. Please ensure that you have silenced your cell phones and please join for the Pledge of Allegiance. All right, thank you. We are going to start off with approval of the minutes of the regular and closed session meeting of April 17th, 2024. May I have a motion and a second to approve the minutes of April 17th, 2024?
So moved.
A second.
Anyone have any questions or comments or concerns? Nope. Okay. Well, all those in favor of approving the minutes of April 17th, 2024, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. All right, minutes have been approved. We're going to move on to approval of payments. Can I have a motion and a second to approve the payment of bills in the amount of $872,406.87?
So moved.
I'll second.
Any questions regarding the bills? Nope. Okay. Board Secretary, can you please call a roll call vote?
Yes. Christine Soika,
Yes.
Rafael Kabor,
Yes.
Saji Philip,
Yes.
Jacqueline Boujde, yes. Diana Diakakis?
Yes.
Esther Tamura?
Yes.
All right. Bills are approved. Next up, Parent Teacher Association report.
Hi, good evening. We had a very busy month celebrating our wonderful support staff and teachers. The PTA was so excited to celebrate our wonderful teachers. We thank all teachers and support staff from the bottom of our hearts. The teachers have our kids for more than we do throughout the year. And so I know they could be a handful, so we do appreciate them very much. And we wanted to show their appreciation the Falcon way. This year, we had a great committee, lots of fun gifts and raffles. And so I hope they felt appreciated. We got a lot of nice feedback from the teachers. So we do appreciate that. Our upcoming events, we have a pretty eventful month. We've got 8th grade graduation party next Friday that the PTA sponsors. Our next committee meeting is Tuesday, May 28th. Kindergarten is having a field day and end of year party on June 6th. And our 1st grade to 4th grade end of year parties is Wednesday, June 12th. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, we are going to move on to school activity report. Does anyone from the board or admin have good news that they would like to share?
Sure, I can start it off. Just a few things. As Ms. Guliana said, it's a very, very busy time of year for everyone. I'm sure parents, staff, administration. We just wrapped up our athletic seasons. Our girls JV soccer team, I believe, went undefeated, which was pretty impressive. I also can report that we just won 3rd place for our varsity girls soccer just right now over at Niles West, I think they were at today.
Yep.
So they won in a shootout. They had a very close game to go to the championship and lost in a shootout. So it's fitting that they won 3rd place game in a shootout. And then boys volleyball season wrapped up. Just to speak to graduation, celebrating our 8th graders. This past Monday, we went on their Chicago trip to the city, had a great time with them. It was an absolutely gorgeous day. And the next week is kind of the final countdown of their regular class days. So we'll announce the annual Blumenfeld Award winner next Friday to students. So that will be very exciting. And then, yeah, just graduation practice. Looking forward to that evening. That ceremony is always really excited to make it special for all the 8th graders. So.
I just wanted to say thanks to everyone that came to our art show. It was a huge success. So Catherine Chung and Eugenia Kolobos, 2 of our 2 art teachers, did a great job preparing for the show. All the artwork that students have worked so hard on. So that was great last Thursday. And then multicultural night last Friday was huge success. I know many people in the room here were there, but it was really a great turnout for the community and really brought everyone together. And it was a really great event. So thanks to the PTA for planning it. And it seems like it's getting bigger and bigger every year.
So just a few things from our Student Equity Advisory Committee. We did start and complete our applications for current 6th and 7th graders for the 2024-2025 school year. So very excited about that. We will have another window and opportunity for students to apply again when they come back from our summer break. We also had the opportunity to meet with Dr. Whitaker and Mr. LaPaca last Friday. Yeah. And it was great. The students, really took the opportunity to just kind of share some of the ideas and thoughts of the middle school. So that was, very well received. I think they felt supported, they felt heard. So thank you, Dr. Whitaker and Mr. LaPaca for that. And so we look forward to our planning. On May 22nd, we'll have a celebration for the 8th graders that are part of the student committee that are graduating, and then also a welcome for those that are going to be joining the group.
Just one last shout out to Mr. Park, our orchestra teacher, did an amazing job at his first concert. Mr. Connor for choir as well. It's always a great evening. And then Mr. Connor has a very busy schedule right now as well because his band concert's tomorrow night. So good luck to our band members and to Mr. Connor.
The only thing I would add, next Monday afternoon, we have our senior celebration, which is an idea that was spearheaded by Mr. LaPaca, but is also Emily Brodsky and several of our teaching staff. So it's an opportunity for our seniors, our Falcons who are seniors in high school, to come back and visit with us and have some of their favorite foods, chicken Crispitos, some cake, check out the building. And it's just a really, really wonderful event. And for our staff, it really allows them to see sort of full circle. These are the students who are moving on in the world and they're graduating high school, and what they all are doing so many different and exciting things. So it's really a neat event. I think we're one of the few schools that do it, or at least we were. And so I would encourage board members to stop by. We're going to be meeting in the school in the new nest, which the kids can't wait to see. So thank you, Mike, for your work on that. It's just a wonderful tradition that's been going on for quite a while now. It is at 3, and then it goes until the kids want to leave, kind of. And so, yes, Monday.
So do the 8th graders engage with them as well, or is it just the students with teachers?
The graduating seniors come back.
Right.
The 8th graders will have the opportunity.
Oh, okay, but
Yeah.
the 8th graders now don't get to engage with those seniors now. Okay. Oh, got it.
Found that we can later, close to leaving, a lot of those kids are already off to college, starting jobs.
Yeah.
And so we were missing out some kids, so the last couple years we've done it earlier and we got a huge percentage of that.
All right.
Yeah.
A really cool thing, and the teachers walk around with like their kindergarten class and positive, and they were name tags, and some of them were unrecognizable.
Yeah.
Right, yeah. Yeah. And I would just say thank you to Ms. Kilpatrick for organizing our lunch last week. And I hope that you've ordered the cake, because her 8th graders, all they want is a cake with a picture of them on the top. So I say, you got to make that happen for them. It was really cute. So hopefully you got the cake ordered.
Awesome. Thank you. Next item is our board discussion items. Superintendent, would you please introduce the items to the board?
Sure. So the board is required to approve any amendments to the school calendar. This one is, I think, pretty minor. Mr. LaPaca, could you mind, so for members of the audience so that they can see, if you do sort of a 3-finger swipe, the calendar should show up. Maybe the other way. There we go. Good job. Thank you. So there's a minor change. Election Day is a school holiday in Illinois for next year. When the board adopted this calendar, it had not been designated as a school holiday. So that will be on that Tuesday, November 5th. So that will be a day off at school, so students and families can participate in the election process if they so choose. We are not a polling place. We have not been a polling place in at least my tenure. And so it's not for security reasons like many schools are off, but it's more so that students and families can participate in that day. So what that does is it does create a situation where we do need to make up or go a day later, not make up the day. But Mike, do you mind? I'm sorry to make you get up again. If you could just scroll up so they can see where the last day then falls. So Wednesday, June 4th, which actually this year sounds really, really good to us. We were going to end on a Tuesday, June 3rd. It moves it to Wednesday, June 4th. We spoke with the teachers union. They were comfortable with that. So that's what we're asking the board to approve this evening. Okay. June 13th is the last day, half day. We used one emergency day and we did pivot to remote learning for one day. So we do have to make up the one. Questions on the calendar? Okay, next up is the superintendent report for May. A couple of highlights, and certainly if there are any questions. In terms of construction, we're kind of at a standstill right now with our construction company. I am not allowing them to work within the school building when students are in session. It's disruptive. We're kind of beyond it at this point. We might as well just wait till summertime to finish up some of the small punch list items. The area of most concern was the exterior landscaping, which they have finished. And the second area of concern is the tennis courts and the temporary hall road. That we are at a standstill on because the Park District is dissatisfied with the tennis court surface. In our recent rains, it is puddling on the courts, which means the courts weren't installed properly. So we're holding off on having the hall road removed because we may need that road for that tennis court situation to be resolved. So that's something that we'll keep you posted on. The Park District has been extremely patient, I think more patient than they should be. We're trying to work that through. So otherwise, we're coming close to the end on construction. Community relations, there has been a lot going on in the community these past few days. So that has been keeping us busy. As you were aware, I sent an email to the community a couple of weeks ago about 2 incidents of graffiti. And I thought that this evening it would be a nice opportunity for the board to be able to have a discussion and hear from both Mr. LaPaca and Ms. Kilpatrick about our approach to these situations and how we handle them. So welcome you to come up to the mic.
Okay, sorry. Thank you. Yes, so thank you for giving us the chance this evening to talk about what Dr. Whitaker reported. So following her email to the community, Dr. Whitaker obviously reached out to our admin team fairly quickly to try to put into action kind of the next steps of what we needed to do at school. So that the morning after, I was able to connect with the middle school core teachers to try to have some conversations, just encouraging kids to tell us anything, any little thing, any lead, something that would be really helpful, seeing that, it wasn't a couple places that were out of sight that maybe have been more unsupervised. So teachers encourage students in classrooms to email, come to a teacher kind of inconspicuously, come to my office, send me an email. So following those conversations, it was great to see so many students that were eager to want to provide information to us, to the admin team. Unfortunately, a lot of it was, I heard this, I saw this through text. Some of it was obviously hearsay. There weren't many students that had specific concrete, like I visibly saw this happen. But it led to a lot of conversations with students. I think I interviewed and kind of had conversations with probably 23 to 25 students, a few of them multiple conversations. So that was nice because it led to some further investigation. And then also having the access to a lot of security cameras on campus, I think, has been helpful for our admin team with the various things that have happened throughout the school year, whether it's somebody that is on the property, whether it's a student that engages in something outside that would be, against any of our expectations, or misconduct that's led to further discipline. So we looked at a lot of different film from different angles or a great deal of cameras in the back of our building, specifically like close to the fitness park. And so a lot of that information was really helpful. And then I think circling back after that and speaking with our middle school advisory classrooms and really encourage kind of open and honest dialogue in class about, what students were feeling, what they were hearing, and also just referring to a lot of the work that Ms. Kilpatrick, that Jordan's done this year. So I don't want to take too much away from Jordan, but I know she's going to speak a little bit to what her role is in situations like this that come up. So. Get away the apple.
Okay, so one of the things I want to share is that we, as a district, are really working at being more proactive than reactive. So, of course, just kind of figuring out what works to see a decrease and to mitigate some of these incidences. I've been doing a lot of work with classes, specifically our middle school classes. I mean, I have been doing our primary equity reading circles, which started last year. But this year, I started what we call our equity education series, and that takes place in our advisory classes with our middle school students. And that's just an opportunity for them to gain more understanding about these sensitive type of topics, to really get used to just talking about these things so it's not foreign to them when they're hearing, like, why is this okay to say? Why is it not? What's appropriate at school? What, can be harmful speech, things like that. So we are having lots of conversation about that. We've been doing so over the course of the school year. We will continue that next school year as well. So that's one thing that we've programming that we've been kind of using, to address some of these issues. Also, at the beginning of the school year, we did develop a flow chart for responses for teachers and staff. Like, if this incident happens, how do you report it? Who do you report it to? What happens after you report? So not only are we creating ways to, roll out whatever discipline would be necessary that is fitting to, said incident, but also one-on-one education. So I have been doing one-on-one education with students when necessary. It's gone really well. I think it's helping to create, just that understanding and acknowledgement of things like this. And then it's creating more awareness. So we will continue that structure. That's been shared out since the beginning of the school year. Teachers and staff have been using it, so that's been really helpful. And then also I've been working with Mr. Masterton, our student success coordinator, because he kind of helps in those instances too.
So I think what we came to in our investigation was that I reported to the community 2 incidences of the N-word being written on a piece of playground equipment as well as inside one of our school bathroom stalls. And what we found through this investigation is what we believe happened at the playground was actually occurred possibly 2 weeks prior to it coming to the surface and us hearing about it. Whereas the bathroom incident, we feel, was much more recent because students seemed to report that to us immediately when they saw it for the first time. So while I was reporting 2 incidents in one communication, they didn't actually happen we don't think they happened on the same day, even within a period of a couple of days. So it was spread out, which really is neither here nor there, except for in investigating and reviewing the video footage. We're going through hours and hours and hours of footage. So it helped us kind of narrow our search there. In terms of that exterior camera footage, Mike was able to identify several students who were in the area, appeared to be a part of what that was. And, those students and their families are being managed by Mike. We don't think all of the students were involved in actually doing the writing, but they all knew something about it, and it wasn't reported to us, and it wasn't the right thing to do. So that was sort of the outcome there. The bathroom incident is a little trickier for us because, this building is open kind of night and day. And so, we have students in the building late, we have rentals, bathrooms are allowed to be used by anyone who's in the facility, and we don't have cameras inside the building. And so that's a little trickier for us to get a handle on because, we don't have any concrete evidence that we can point to. We do have the e-hall monitoring pass system. And so Mike spent a good amount of time looking to see who is out of the classroom using that bathroom within a period of time, but even that wasn't real helpful to narrow it down to one individual. So That may be something the board considers in the future. You know, if you do want to entertain installing cameras inside the building, there are schools that do that. I think it's something, you know, that you have to consider and think about, you know, going forward. But really, I mean, to Jordan's point, it's the proactive. It's, you know, what are we doing to help students know and understand that these words are unacceptable in our school district? They're hurtful, they cause harm to people. How do we continue to educate them so these circumstances hopefully are prevented in the future? Not so much about the consequence, although we would like to know who did it, more about, you know, trying to help students understand, you know, that this is not acceptable. So I want to open it up to the board for, you know, Mike, Jordan, myself.
I have question for that, if that, you know, each student, how you educate them, this is not, you go to each, give the instruction to each classes, how to, if you say something, who to contact or who to, you know, where to go.
Mhm.
And that kind of instruction given to each classes?
Yes,
Okay.
yes. So there's 16 sections of advisory.
Yes.
Correct. They run all together because it's a full month when I'm doing them. So I'm going to classroom, room by room. And so that breaks up all of the middle school students, 5th through 8th grade. And then our primary kiddos, our K-4 kiddos, get something a little bit different. We call it primary equity reading circles. We're still talking about equity-driven topics, just in a very age-appropriate way for their level of understanding. So we're not only having conversations about, you know, the appropriateness of these commentary, how hurtful it is, all of that, but then also like, if you know that this is going on, if you've heard this, if things have been said to you, how do you report it? Who do you come to? Who do you talk to? Over the course of this school year, I have had a few students come and say, Ms. Kilpatrick, I need to speak with you. I'd like to report something, which is really good because it's empowering them to speak up, right? We're teaching them how to be good upstanders, whether commentary is directed towards them specifically or a classmate or peer to speak up, to report. And then that allows us to be able to address the situation before it, you know, grows or spills over into other students.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You've been in both of my kids' classes and I've had very good feedback from both of them. I also think it's important for parents to be aware of what these kids have access to and social media and all that, and they're learning things.
Yeah.
So I don't know if there's a way for us to engage with the community in that route, like educating a little bit more on the parental side as well, might be beneficial. I don't know. I just try to assume like everyone has a good heart and that it comes from a good place, but things unfortunately happen. So like what else can we do as a community more so, like to bring awareness to that as well?
Yeah, and just to kind of shed some light on that, one of the plans and goals that we have for the parent equity group in this coming year is to figure out how can we create education series for the community, because we're meeting those needs in the school with our students, but then that leaves the parents open and, you know, may or may not have access to information or understanding. So we have been having a lot of conversation about that, trying to figure out how to best, you know, meet that need for parents and community members too.
When we had that issue with the Roblox, I appreciate that it was on like the digital backpack, just because it's like some parents might not know what it is and they just let the kids have it and there's danger, you know, there's a lot of things that can happen. But I think that was like a great avenue to use to like get more out to the community as well.
Okay.
So, just an idea.
Oh, you're good.
I'm gonna mention, I just want to say and appreciate Fairview for being transparent with the community and families so that we do have the opportunity to address it. And we are aware, so thanks.
I was just going to mention too, and Mrs. Kilpatrick had said that in the conversations that we're having, we came together with a group of us that does a lot of we have a lot of the conversations about similar topics like the Finding Kind Assembly that we did for, you know, the students in the building just recently. We've done some of those activities trying to reach different groups of people. So we met recently to kind of talk about this and just what we're noticing and what we're hearing. In some instances, just there being a little bit of an uptick in some of the things that are said or heard, and what we can do to try to get the message out there with certain topics that parents maybe just have no familiarity with. for a lot of different reasons. And we want to make sure that they have all the information available to them so they can understand it, process it with students. But I think what we also talked about is talking points are really helpful, because initiating that conversation with a student, whether it's an 8th grader or a 1st grader, can be really tricky. And sometimes it's different across all those grades. So how do you give them some talking points to be able to sit down and have a reasonable conversation about difficult topics? So.
Sorry, I had a question, and I apologize if you mentioned this, but what is the cadence that you're pushing in to the classrooms? Like, how often is that occurring?
So generally quarterly. This year was just a little different because of our start. And then like at this time of year, it gets really busy with testing, activities, field trips. So this year, instead of 4 sessions, classroom have received 3. I'm hoping that next year we get back to our 4. So it is quarterly.
Okay. And is there an opportunity, and I'm not sure, because I'm not familiar with this, but to maybe increase that? So I know like 4 is generally the standard, but if we're seeing incidents occur, is there the opportunity to maybe increase those cadences so that we're sort of continuing the education and really trying to drive home
I think
the message?
I was just going to say, part of the beauty of having advisory, which we began a few years back, is that we do have smaller groups of students with school adults on a regular basis every single day. And so when something emerges, that's really the spot where we like to try to address things. That way we can be really flexible. I mean, we do have an advisory curriculum that involves SEL, et cetera. But when something flares up, whatever it might be, it could just be, something in the world. Today, I think it was about the police issue out in the neighborhood here, because kids were talking a lot about it and teachers were processing that with them. So I think that's the avenue.
yes.
Yes, yeah. And Ms. Kilpatrick is wonderful, but she's only one person. And so one of the parts of what she does, though, is she works with our staff to help them feel comfortable and empowered to be able to have conversations with students too. Even though, they are sensitive topics, that's part of what we're doing with our staff, is trying to train them to be able to, have reasonable discussions with their students at developmentally appropriate ways and levels.
And I will say that this year, staff have been really good about coming to me with even questions, even if nothing has happened. Ms. Kilpatrick, do you have information on this? Do you have resources on this? Can I enter this into our classroom discussion? Those sort of things. So I think just having more of the conversation, having tools in place that kind of give people some direction on which way to go, has really been beneficial for the district overall.
Okay, there's just a lot happening, a lot going on. I'm happy to answer any other questions from the superintendent report. If there's anything that jumped out at you, we're working really hard to hire new teachers. We have 9.5 positions that need to be filled. And we are have 7, I think, of those 9.5, maybe 7.5. So we're close. We feel like we're in a really good position. We got out early this year and, have met some really wonderful candidates. So that's a primary focus, but also just finishing the school year strong. Going later into June is, it's going to be a little bit of a challenge for everybody involved, but, these teachers can do it and, we're there to support them. So just looking forward to wrapping up the year strong. So. Any questions? Okay, thank you.
All right, next item is our board committees and representatives. We'll start with Ed Red. Raphael, any updates?
Yeah, so just a couple of bills that Ed Red's been really focusing on this year or this last session is HB 5020, which is the Dual Credit Quality Act bill. It's something that was being sponsored and it passed the House, but it kind of stalled in the Senate. So there's no update on that yet. Another one is HB 305. There's an amendment in that one. That one's related to Cook County school treasurers. Then I also wanted to update that the adjournment date for the session is coming up now, May 24th. So that will kind of put a lot of these things to rest for now. But then there's, as far as updated upcoming meetings, there's a June 7th meeting, an Ed Red meeting, and then there's also a mini summit That's going to be happening on June 12th at Vernon Hills High School. The June 7th meeting is at the Wheeling District 21. That's all my updates.
Jackie, any updates from NTDSC?
One second. We
Oh.
have an update school treasurer bill that Mr. Kapoor was talking about. That hits close to home for us, and it's something we've been working on as a township. So we are very much supportive of the bill being changed in a way that allows us to maintain a school treasurer. School treasurers are different in different communities. They operate in different ways, but for us, they're essential because we have a number of small districts. That bill has since been changed, thankfully, that allows us to maintain the school treasurer's office. And that was done by a lot of work. Our participation to EdRed is a large reason that that happened. So the work that Mr. Kapoor is doing by being part of those meetings and us being part of EdRed is very important, and it helps us a lot in lobbying for lobbying downstate on bills that are particularly important to us. This one in particular, I was on the phone with our treasurer's office a number of times about it because we could not function the way we do without their support. And other districts can do away with theirs, and that's fine, but we wanted to maintain ours because that's really what binds us together and helps us a lot, and also maintains a lot of the essential functions that we just don't have the bandwidth to cover here. So that was a very important bill. So I wanted to make sure you guys all knew about that and understand, like, we are working with the treasurer's office to make sure that that bill is done in a way that helps us. Thanks.
All right, Jackie.
Sure, for NCDSC, I think kind of similar to other schools, they've been focusing on year-end activities and putting a lot of energy towards that, and summer projects that are coming up they're wrapping up a construction project as well, punch list items, and gearing up for the 24-25 school year of hiring and interviewing, and we'll be meeting again in June, and that's pretty much it.
Christine, anything else to add to the PTA report?
No, Sylvia makes my job too easy. Oh, except that congratulations on your first year as president. I think we're nearing sort of the
Yeah.
end, and she's had her first term. So, and a job well done. To Katie as well. She's not here this evening, but it was a wonderful year. It's my first year participating as both a parent and sitting as the board representative. So I'm excited for next year.
Awesome. Moving along to Freedom of Information Act requests. I can report that there was one Freedom of Information Act received since last board meeting, and it was responded to as required. Information items and correspondence. We have one submission for information items and correspondence this month. Jackie, do you mind giving us a quick summary?
Yes, we received a thank you letter from Miss Walder for the baby blanket sent. She plans on using it for all the monthly baby pictures.
All right, public comment. At this time, I'd like to invite members of the audience to address the board in public comment. The public comment period is designed to gain input from the public and not for immediate response by the board to the question or comment presented. If you wish to address the board, please come to the microphone and state your name. A 3-minute time limit will be set. The board secretary will keep time. Okay, and I can confirm that there were no online comments today. Oh.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Dr. Terrence Gadsden, parent of two children here at Fairview, one in middle school, one in elementary school. I did not want to come to the mic tonight, but I'm coming representing my kids who asked me, Dad, can you please mention the email that Dr. Whitaker sent on May 1st regarding the N-word that was found in the park and inside the school? I know we just addressed it a little bit. The board just addressed it a little while ago. Obviously, just wanted to share that, my kids felt really, really saddened and just hurt. That word is directed towards people that look like me and people who look like my kids. And so it has a deep meaning. A lot of us know the meaning, where it comes from. And so it really impacted them. Shout outs to Miss Morrow, shout outs to Miss An, who reached out to my babies, who talked to them, pulled them to the side, asked them how they were doing. And even Miss An, who's no longer my oldest, is a 4th grade teacher. She reached out to her, and I really appreciated that. One of the things that I'm just want to mention to the board and just to community, and I applaud Mrs. Jordan's effort. I think that one of the things that I'm seeing is that it's bigger than what we see right now. Obviously, this is not the first time it happened. Dr. Whitaker, you sent the email last July 7th, 2023, about someone vandalizing, breaking into school, and the N-word being used. And so I think that it is appropriate that we continue as a community to create curriculum, anti-racism curriculum, to really address this problem. It's a real problem, not just the N-word, but any forms of hatred. And I think that as a community and as an institution, this is the place of learning. This is the place where students should learn and unlearn some things that are appropriate and not appropriate. As a faculty and staff member at a university here in the city of Chicago, we are doing this work. Our faculty, our staff, our board members are doing the anti-racism work. It's not just on one person, it's a community thing. All of us are educating ourselves and we are implementing what we have learned to our students and to our campus community. So I want to encourage you board members as well to educate yourself, community members, educate yourself, principals, educate yourself on how this problem can be eradicated. And I think you have to go hard. You have to create a culture. In order to change culture, you have to create a culture. And the question you have to ask, what culture are we creating when it comes to anti-racism and things of this nature? So you have to go hard on creating a culture that even with signs, billboards, that no hate is welcome here. You have to go hard on issues like this, or we're going to be sitting here months ahead and saying, here, a similar email that this happened again. And so I want to please, board, this is not just on one person that looks like me. Real talk. This is on all of us so that the whole community can rise up. And so I pray that a curriculum, or even a more than an advisory, more than 3 sessions. We need more than that. We need more than that. It should be in every single classroom and every single time. So thank you. Remember, silence is violence. So we got to do something about it.
Thank you for your comment. Anybody else would like to speak? Okay. All right, we're going to move on to approving action items. Approve employment of certified teachers, Caitlin Navarro, Kayla Ross, Aaron Levitt, and Kathleen Graff. May I have a motion and a second, please?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, any comments or questions? All right, will the board secretary please call roll call vote?
Yes. Christine Soika,
Yes.
Saji Philip,
Yes.
Jacqueline Boujde, yes. Diana Diakakis,
Yes.
Rafael Kabor,
Yes.
Esther Tamura,
Yes.
All right, thank you. We are removing item B from today's agenda. We're going to move on to the next one. May I have a motion and a second to accept the resignation agreement with the certified employee?
So moved.
I'll second.
Okay, I'm sorry, let me repeat myself. Accept resignation agreement with certified employee Patrick Healy. May I have a motion and a second?
So moved.
I'll second.
Okay, will the board secretary please call roll call vote?
yes. Saji Philip,
Yes.
Rafael Kabor,
Yes.
Diana Diakakis,
Yes.
Jacqueline Boujde, yes. Christine Soika,
Yes.
Esther Tamura,
Yes.
Okay, next item, may I have a motion and a second to approve award custodial bid contract to GSF USA?
So moved.
I'll second.
Jeff?
Thank you. So we went out for bid a few months ago for our custodial bid contract, and this has been the plan all along. We have been with GSF for 10 years now. Our motivation in doing so was for the district's best interest to see what the market was like for other companies and see if there was any better providers out there. We received 8 interested companies. 6 actually finalized their bid and submitted a bid. The low bidder, our job is to find the lowest responsible bidder for the district, not just the lowest bidder, the lowest responsible bidder that we feel will be best for the district to carry out the functions that are necessary. We did a lot of vetting in this process. The low bidder came in, and I'm going to keep all the issues with those bids under wraps, but there was the four lowest bidders all had issues with their bid submissions. Either it was not complete or there was issues with the references. And by not complete, I mean everything that we asked for in the bid was not included. And we have those bids, we have the documents vetted by our lawyers to make sure that we're including everything that is necessary to get what we want out of this contract. We did a lot of phone calls with other districts, a lot of reading through the documents to ensure, there was one of the companies has only done business in Michigan and had no Illinois school districts. Well, one of the requirements in our bid is that they have experience with Illinois school districts. So that right there is grounds for not going with them. We had some of the references didn't check out, and discussions with Cindy about this as well was that we wanted to bring a company in that we could trust. They're going to be in our building after hours. We wanted a company that we knew would not provide a lot of headaches. And there's always going to be headaches when we transition to a new company in anything that we've had. But we're talking about people cleaning our building and making sure it's up to the standards that we want. GSF was the lowest responsible bidder. They were the 5th lowest bid. So it's not typical, but this happened before too. And our last time we went out to bid, GSF was the 3rd lowest bidder. And that was when we transitioned to a new company. So the standards that we've set within this bid, and we ran this by our legal team as well to make sure, are we being too selective? And they said there's nothing in this bid that is out of the ordinary. We're asking for pretty boilerplate standard stuff. 3 years of financials. One of the companies wasn't able to provide financial statements. That's a problem. So with that, I am recommending continue with GSF. We've had a discussion with GSF about some of, when you're comfortable over 10 years. So we've had a discussion with GSF about, our expectations and maybe what we need to do going forward if we were to enter into an agreement with them. And after that meeting, I think both Cindy and Cassio and I felt pretty satisfied that if we were to move forward with them, we'd be comfortable. So I'm recommending tonight to agree with GSF for a 3-year contract. We've been going with them. We had an initial 3-year contract, and then we had a 2-year rollover, and we kept doing that. And we had a 1-year rollover this last time because we wanted to make sure that we go into the bigger building, the bid specs were going to change a little bit. So now we've got that complete. We're recommending a 3-year contract, GSF, and I'll leave it at that. If you have any questions.
My question is, who are the first two lowest ones?
What was that?
You said the GSF.
There was 4 lower bids than GSF, but
it's a big difference or?
In price, yes.
Yeah,
It's
and
a
it's
significant difference in price, yes. But
Yeah.
the other piece of it too is that when I talk about incomplete bid, they're also not having the same sort of staffing as GSF is having. They're thinking they can get by with less staffing. And we've had that issue before with another company that was a low bid with us. They tried to do it with 2 less people. And that's pretty difficult to do when we're talking about adding square footage here as well. So parts of the bid that were non-compliant were staffing. It was not having financials. It was not having references that checked out. And we lean a lot on references and a lot of things that we do in the district. We talk about going with companies. A lot of the township schools, we talk frequently about companies that we use that we're happy with. GSF is actually with Lincolnwood. They've been with Lincolnwood. They went with GSF on our recommendation. GSF actually helped Lincolnwood bail out of a tough time with their previous provider. So when you say who's the lowest, did I answer your question?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, in that case, we can say GSF, kind of, hey, we have other lowest bidder. Why don't you come a little more down?
So we can't ask them to change price because the part of the process with bid opening is that you need to go with the final price that's attached on the bid. And we think that difference in price is made up for in quality and familiarity and the fact that we're going to have very little issues with them. They also, the nice thing about GSF is because they have over the last 10, 15 years, they've garnered a lot more of the market segment in school cleaning.
Yes.
And they're able to provide great benefits to their employees. And, we're pretty adamant that the employees that we have on staff right now, Some of them are fantastic. We had some issues with a supervisor and they acted swiftly to change supervisors for us. So the responsiveness that we get from GSF and the quality of services provided, we think are made up for with the price difference.
Okay.
Yeah. Thank you.
Are we going to be working a similar contract with additional 2-year renewals? Or are we sticking just to the 3 years?
That'll be up to the board and we'll probably start those conversations a year before the end of the contract. And that'll be
Okay.
up to the finance committee. Typically, or the buildings and grounds and finance committee will typically bring that to the table and say, our contract's up in a year. Well, how do we want to proceed?
Yeah, I'm just, sorry, Saj, just thinking ahead, because obviously we just went through a bid process. If we don't put that into the contract language, then that means we would have to go into the bid process again in 2.5 years from now, basically.
So we have the flexibility already built in. You can renew if you want.
Okay,
Yeah. But it's got to be a mutual agreement between parties. The prices aren't already locked in, so there'll be some negotiating with that. And we were able to negotiate favorable increases on our previous renewals that made it more palatable to do that than go out to bid.
On that contract, do you have specific person had to be in the facility each day? That's the way it's worked?
Yeah.
No questions, but thank you for your thoroughness. I much appreciated the chart. That was very clear as
Sure.
to sort of the direction that you took. So thank you for
Absolutely.
taking the time for that.
You're welcome.
Thanks, Jeff. All right. Board Secretary, can you please call a roll call vote?
Yes. Diana Diakakis?
Yes.
Jacqueline Boujde, yes. Christine Soika?
Yes.
Rafael Kabor?
yes.
Saji Philip?
Yes.
Esther Tamura?
Yes.
Great. All right, perfect. Final item, approve amended calendar for the 2024-2025 school year. May I have a motion and a second, please?
So moved.
I'll second.
Okay, Board Secretary, can you please call roll call vote?
Yes. Saji Philip?
Yes.
Rafael Kabor?
Yes.
Diana Diakakis? Christine Soika?
Yes.
Jacqueline Boujde, yes. Esther Tamura?
Yes.
You?
Does anyone have any items for future consideration to share?
I'll just note that the board meeting has been changed. We talked about this last month. So for our regulars, we'll be meeting on Tuesday, June 11th instead of June 12th.
I have one question. I figured out that while I'm sitting here, the park is here. Can we make some kind of separation with the park and the school? Because that's all.
The park is owned by the Park District and they allow us to use it. So if we were to, I guess you could fence it, but that would restrict the movement of our own students.
Because,
So
I saw kids are sitting and studying and people are walking, so disturb,
This room is like a
No, but
multi-purpose
I'm
room, right?
further
Yeah.
down, it's a.
yeah, if the park is distracting to the board, we could always flip this room. We're still figuring out these new spaces. The board table could be down there, facing this way.
No, but other classes down there, that side.
Oh, yeah, all of this classrooms have windows outside and there's playground and there's recess and there's cars driving by and, they have blinds in the classrooms. They
Okay.
can close them, although we encourage them to keep them open and have the sunshine. The kids and the teachers are really, really good about being able to focus when they need to.
All right. May I have a motion and a second to adjourn the regular meeting of Fairview Board of Education at 7:51 PM?
So moved.
I'll second.
Okay, Board Secretary, can you please call a roll call vote?
Diana Diakakis?
Yes.
Jacqueline Boujde, yes. Rafael Kabor?
Yes.
Saji Philip?
Yes.
Christine Soika?
Yes.
Esther Tamura?
Yes.
Thank you.
All right, meeting's adjourned. Thank you, everyone.